Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another video. I'm about to go for a run before we get this video started. So in this video, I wanted to share with you guys part of my life, like part of my journey. When I was 16 years old, I received the heartbreaking news that I was diagnosed with cancer. And that cancer was Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is basically a cancer that attacks your lymph node system. And so in the months to follow, be receiving chemotherapy treatment. My life completely changed. During the time that I was diagnosed, I was 16 at the time, and I remember when my dad told me, he actually came to my work. I was working at a grocery store as a cashier at the time, and my dad and my sister came in, and I remember thinking, that's a little strange, like, what a surprise to see them here today, you know? They came up to me and they're like, hey, like, we need you to leave work right now, like, this is important, we need to talk. So I was like, oh, okay, like, that's a little weird. I talked to my manager, he let me go. So we went for a walk, and that's when my dad told me, hey, your test results came back positive. And I won't lie to you guys, I freaking bawled my eyes out. Like, I was terrified. I thought I was gonna die. I didn't know what to expect. Like, you see kids with cancer in the movies, and it just looks absolutely terrible. And I never thought like I would be one of those people to have to go through that. So I had no idea what to expect. I knew it was gonna be super miserable, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna live or not, like if I was gonna beat this cancer. The months to follow, that's when I started receiving chemotherapy treatment. The cancer that I had was stage 2 at the time, Hodgkin's lymphoma. So that basically means it was in the upper portion of my body. When we found it, I had this golf ball sized lump in my underarm, and I'll show you guys a picture right here. And that turned out to just be the tip of it. It was actually all in my chest and in my neck. So I had a surgery to get that lump removed, and that's when they did the biopsy, and then that's when the biopsy came back positive for cancer. Originally, when I went to get the surgery done, like, I kept seeing all these different doctors, and they were telling me, hey, it's nothing, you have nothing to worry about, have you been scratched by a cat? Like, asking me all these weird questions, and I was just like, no, I don't know what's going on. I just noticed it when I was working out. I looked it up on the internet, it said it could be cancer, so I called my dad, and I told him, like, hey, I don't know what's going on, I have this lump, but just to be safe, like, I think we should set up an appointment and go see a doctor. And so that's what we did. I remember seeing the oncologist, before she was my oncologist at the time. She told me, you have to see me again, it's bad. So I was like, okay, hopefully I don't have to see her again. And then sure enough, yeah, she was my oncologist. She was actually really great. Everybody, all the nurses and the doctors and the surgeons, they did a wonderful job. I couldn't be more pleased with how they took care of me. I'm forever grateful. So if you're a nurse or a doctor or a surgeon, anybody working in the medical field, thank you. Like, I really have a lot of respect for you and appreciate everything that you guys do. It saved my life. It means the world to me. You guys are awesome. So with my chemotherapy, basically my treatment, if I remember correctly, it was 4 cycles. So basically, one cycle would be the first week, I'd go in for 3 days, and I'd be pumped with chemo, and then I would go home, recover from that chemo, and then come in next week for 1 day, get the chemo pumped into me, and then go home, recover from that, repeat that cycle. And so that was basically what my chemo schedule was like. I was on a lot of different medicine to counteract like the different side effects that I was having. I got these really bad mouth sores, so it hurt to eat. My taste buds were all jacked up, so food just tasted terrible. And then I was really nauseous all the time. So like when I'd get my chemo in the hospital, like I wouldn't even eat for those 3 days. So I ended up losing a lot of weight. I got really skinny. I lost all my hair, everything. And then I got, really skinny, really gaunt looking. My skin got this weird like yellowish color to it. It just didn't look right. My red blood cell count got really low, so that actually happened to me twice. So I had to have a blood transfusion. So that was, I felt really bad up until that happened. I had the worst headache of my life. Like I couldn't do anything. Like I was just curled up in a ball. Like I couldn't even sleep, couldn't do anything. It was just the absolute worst migraine ever. And then just super weak. It was hard to walk at times. I'd have to, sometimes even when I'd go to the store, just sit in a wheelchair and get my siblings to push me around because it just took too much to walk and use that energy. And then anytime I rode in a car, I got really sick. So fortunately enough, I lived pretty close to the hospital. I would get these really bad nosebleeds where the blood would just keep pouring out. That was pretty rough. And it was super important that I didn't get sick because when you're receiving chemotherapy, your immune system is compromised. So getting sick can be even fatal if bad enough. Luckily, I didn't have that issue, didn't get sick at all. I also had neuropathy, which is nerve damage. So I had it throughout my whole body, primarily like my hands and my feet. So I couldn't like button my shirt, tie my shoes, little tasks like that I couldn't really do on my own anymore for that time because my hands and stuff were so jacked up. And like when I'd walk, I'd trip, my foot would drag. So that was pretty discouraging. That was a big setback, and that's something I still struggle with a little bit today, but it's definitely a lot better than it was. I remember like they call it chemo brain, which is where like your mind is really foggy and you can't remember things very well. So sometimes it's kind of a blur when I think back to those times. And I was on so much medicine, like I be sleeping most of the time when I was in the hospital. When I was first starting treatment, they gave me the option to either get the PICC line, which goes like it gets stitched into your arm so they can pump the chemo into your body, or get a portacath, which runs right into your bloodstream. So I just decided to do the portacath route because the PICC line can get dirty and get infected, and I didn't want to have to go through all of that. So I just had them surgically implant the portacath in my chest. That was pretty rough. It hurt a lot whenever they were putting the needle into it. Sometimes there'd be a nurse, maybe she wasn't as good at it, and she'd have to reinsert it, and it just hurt so bad. That was rough. Like I used to be scared of needles, but I kind of had to get over that pretty quick. I remember I was watching a movie with two of my siblings, and I scratched my head, and this was before I lost my hair. A patch of hair came out, and then I just started like pulling my hair out, and it was all coming out. And it was all patchy, so I went to a barber and got it clean shaved. That was pretty depressing. I've always been into my hair. I guess that's just part of my personality. That would really hurt my self-esteem. Losing my hair was tough. There was definitely some dark moments, just feelings of like hopelessness and like, will I beat this cancer? Things were getting worse, like the way my health was going. I mean, the treatment was working, but it's also like poison for your body, so it attacks everything. I was definitely at my lowest point. So I'm sharing this with you guys today just to kind of give you some background on where I'm coming from with my fitness, why fitness means so much to me now. Like I really took good health for granted back then. And I mean, I feel like everybody does until something happens, and then it's just like, are you gonna let this make you, or are you gonna let it break you, right? So it's like, on the one hand, I could have been like, why me? Why did this happen? Why do I have to go through this? And just have this really negative view of like what happened to me. Or on the other hand, I can look at it as like, okay, like this is a challenge and this is a setback in my life, but I can overcome this and I can become even stronger than I was before. There was so much I was taking for granted. So it's really important that those tough times that you're facing in your life, like how you react to them is everything. If you just have this negative approach to it. Like it's not going to take you far in life. You really have to grow from these bad experiences and turn them into something positive. So I really encourage you, through whatever you're going through, to look at it as a test of your character. This is building you to be a stronger and better version of yourself down the road. I know it's not easy to have a positive outlook when you're going through all this bad stuff, and trust me, I know it's really hard. It's really easy to get depressed and down in the dumps, but I encourage you to try your hardest. Do the best that you can with your situation. If you need to talk to somebody, talk to them. Your friends are there for a reason, to help you get through those hard times when you need them. A shoulder to count on, right? So I just wanted to share with you guys just a little piece of my life. I can go into more depth about it in another video. I just wanted to give you a little background on myself and where I'm coming from with my fitness and my health. Like it really, after having cancer, it completely changed everything. I really had to become more conscious of what I'm putting into my body, like exercising. I encourage you to do the same, because you never know when something can come up just like that. I'm blessed to be alive and here making this YouTube video for you guys. So I tell people it's the best, worst thing that's ever happened to me. I wouldn't be the person that I am today. That challenging experience, I wouldn't appreciate life and everything as much as I do now if it weren't for that. There was so much I took for granted before. Now I really try my best to make the most of life.